Hey guys, welcome back to my sewing room. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how I made this really pretty prom dress. It can also be used as a bridesmaid's dress or any kind of special occasion dress. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now let's get started. In today's video, I'll be teaming up with fillfabrics.com. They very kindly sent me this 4-way stretch Milliskin. It's the shiny Milliskin and dusty rose. The link will be below in the description box. I will also be using some of this 2-way stretch tulle in the color pink. I couldn't find it in dusty rose, so I figured pink was okay. And then I'll be also using this dusty rose colored lace. This is also from Fill Fabrics, and of course the link will be below in the description box. I'm starting with my bodice blocks. If you guys need help drafting this, I have a video. I will link it here above. And I also have a skirt block as well. I'm just going to go ahead and trace out the waistline seam without the seam allowance and the side seam as well. And then I'm just going to connect my side seam to my inner shoulder to create that halter neck effect. Now, when I'm cutting this, I use the same pattern for the front and the back. So I cut 1 on the fold out of the tulle, and then I cut 4 out of the Milliskin for the back because I'm going to line the back so it's nice and clean. I also used my usual method to cut out the skirt. So if you guys need help on that, I have a video that I will link above. So before I sew the top pieces of the back to the skirt, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my keyhole because I forgot to do that. So I have my 2 face pieces for the back, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my keyhole. So I'm measuring down 2.5 inches from the top, and I'm putting a pin there. And then I'm going to measure out 3 inches from my center back and put a pin there. And then I'm going to measure 1 centimeter up, which is my seam allowance from my waistline seam. And I'm going to put a pin there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and connect that and just cut around that. And I'm going to do the same for my lining. Now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and do a stay stitch. So I'm going to stay stitch around pretty much around all the edges except the side seams and the waistline seam. So this is what it looks like when everything's all stay stitched, and I'm stay stitching it to keep it from stretching out of shape. Now I'm taking my lining pieces and I'm putting them right sides together onto my face pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and sew them together. So I'm just going to pin my keyhole area, and then I'm also going to pin the halter area, and those are going to be the 2 areas that I sew. I'm going to leave the top part open so that we can flip it inside out. And then I'm going to take it to my machine and sew it together with the 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once I have that sewn together, I'm going to go ahead and slash in all of my curves to make sure everything turns out smoothly. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it right side out, making sure to poke those corners there that are at the top of my keyhole neckline. And then I'm going to go ahead and understitch the seam allowance to my lining so that my lining doesn't flip out. And this is what it looks like. I did that around the bottom and around the halter area. Here I have my tulle piece. I'm going to start by taking some bias binding that I just cut out of the same Milliskin fabric, and I'm going to pin it right sides together to the top of the halter neck part of the tulle, and I'm going to do that on both sides. I don't know why, but I can't seem to get you off my mind. Once I have that done, I'm going to trim down that extra seam allowance, and then I'm going to flip the bias binding around and tuck the raw edges under, and then sew that together. Bias binding is like my freaking nemesis, y'all. Like, I cannot stand bias binding, but practice makes perfect, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep practicing with it. This is what it looks like once I have it sewn together. Now I'm going to attach my back pieces to my front pieces. We left a little area open at the side so that we can be able to attach the front to the back and have it sandwiched in between the lining and the face. So I'm going to go ahead and pin the face and the tulle layer right sides together, and I'm going to sew those together with the 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once I have those sewn, I'm going to go ahead and trim down all of my extra threads and things to keep everything nice and neat. And then I'm going to finish off that the back seam between the lining and the back face piece. So I'm just pinning them together, right sides together, and I'm just going to finish off that little bit that we have open there. So now that we have that done, now I'm going to take my my face and my lining of the back, and I'm going to put them right sides together along the side seam, and I'm sewing them together with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. What this is doing is it is enclosing that seam that we had for attaching the face, the back face, to the tulle layer. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and it looks like this. It looks really nice and clean on the outside and the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side and work on our skirt. Now, I already have a pin there for where my zipper stopped. So I'm going to go ahead and sew my center back seam up to that point and then insert my zipper. It's just a regular invisible zipper. Now I am going to lay my front skirt onto my back skirt and sew the side seams. And this is what it looks like. The top piece is not attached. I just wanted to see what it looked like all together. And I think it looks really pretty. My front seam, my side seam there is kind of shifted back, but once I pinned them together, it was fine. So here I'm attaching the front to the top to the bottom. I am making sure to match up the side seam first, and then I'm going to the left and to the right. So I'm not going to pin, straight all the way across. I'm making sure that everything is lined up both ways on the Milliskin layers. And now I'm pinning the tulle to the skirt part. I hope that makes sense, y'all. My brain is all flustered today. And now I'm going to take that and sew that with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. And this is what it looks like. It looks really nice and neat. And I'm really glad that the side seams lined up, because at first they looked like they weren't going to, but they did. Now I'm attaching the lace. Now, there's no real rhyme or reason for how you want to attach the lace, but obviously you want to cover up the bust area. So I made that my first priority. I just kind of just pinned it till I thought it looked nice. But you could make that area a little bit more covered so that you can add bra cups underneath to help your, your prom girl. If she has a bigger bust, she may need a little bit of extra support there. But all in all, for a size 6, this should be totally fine without bra cups. It's just up to, her preference. So I'm just going to continue pinning until I feel like everything looks good. And then I will hand sew them down. Now, I would usually use, y'all know I love my Gluteman glue, but obviously I didn't have any because I would have used it. I would actually have glued this down because it would have cut my time in half, but I didn't have any. So I'm going to take my dress form off of her stand. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just hand sewing it all together.
There's something inside, there's something inside that brings me back to you, No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore.
Okay, so now it's time to finish off the top neckline. I'm using another strip of bias binding, and I'm measuring how long or how wide the shoulder is and everything so that I can know where to pin this when I'm at my table. So I have that all measured out and I have it marked out with pins. So I'm going to put the bias binding right side to the wrong side of the dress so that I could flip it out and tuck it over onto the right side and sew it down. So I'm just pinning it that way, and then I'm going to sew that together with the 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then like I said, I'm going to flip it out and tuck it under and sew that down as well to give it a clean finish at the top there. Now, like I said earlier, bias binding is not my strong suit, but I think it turned out pretty okay. But I will continue to practice with the bias binding. If you guys sew with bias binding all the time, leave some tips down below in the comment section. I would really appreciate it. So this is what it looks like once the top is all finished off, and all we have left to do is the closures in the back and the hem. So I decided to do the hem. I have 2-inch horsehair that I'm working with today, and I'm just doing a regular horsehair kind of hem on this dress, and I actually recorded that. So I'm sewing the horsehair to the right side of the dress, and I'm sewing it together with like a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. And I'm sewing that all the way around, and then when that's done, I'm flipping it to the inside and making sure that it's nice and flat, and then I'm sewing right at the edge of the top of the horsehair to secure that horsehair down. And I'm just making sure that the horsehair is nice and flat before I sew, and I'm making sure I'm actually sewing on the horsehair, because you know, you don't want to go all the way around and your horsehair is not really attached. And this is what it looks like once it's all done. So this is the finished gown. I hope you guys really like this. I actually really enjoyed making this dress. It was challenging and at the same time very easy, and it can be put together in one afternoon if you have the time. So I'm really excited to have been able to team up with fieldfabrics.com to be able to make this dress. So if you guys are interested in any of the fabrics that I used in this video today, make sure to look down in the description box because they will all be listed down there. And I will also leave the link to the blog post that I wrote for their website pertaining to this dress. Don't forget to show this video lots of love by leaving a comment and liking this video, and share it if you feel like it, really. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to check out some of these other videos here, and I'll see you guys in my next one.